Welcome to the broadcast, my funny and fruity Valentines. I'm sending so many kisses to all of you, whether you already have a Valentine or whether you do not, whether you love Valentine's Day or loathe it, I do not care. I am showering you with my love and good wishes and sending you lots of tender-hearted thoughts in a Care Bear stare style. So, like it or not, you are getting my love. Thank you for so much love. We're indulging a little bit of soppiness and romance today, whether you like it or not, and that's why I've gone with the red theme and I'm wearing some love hearts. I was going to actually pare it down for you today, for those of you who might be sick of me and the old lip gloss. I was going to, but then I thought I've just got to go with the theme of the day, so that's what I've done, my dear. And I did actually wake up to a couple of tip jar treats from some of you fruity basketeers. Thank you very much for that. And I must also, in addition, thank some fruity friends of this channel in the form of Lord and Lady P. You know exactly who you are and you know exactly why I'm thanking you. Love to you. Love to you. Big love to you. Thank you. And we are not amused. We are not amused by the fact that we are going to be hit with another podcast from Meghan. Another podcast. Has she not humiliated herself enough? We're going to be looking over the details of that. First of all, I must tell you that Harry and Meghan have already been spotted flying into Canada, into Vancouver, and then they hopped on towards Victoria to Vancouver Island. They arrived from Santa Barb's on a 2-hour flight. And you might recall that it was exactly this part of the world that they hunkered down in after Brexit, around about January 2020, when they cozied up in Canada at the Mi Fleur Mansion. And I've snuck in with me today my largest, probably best vintage fan. Remember this lovely one? I had to stop using fans quite so much because I broke so many of them. None of them were especially precious ones. But I was flipping and flapping them so much, and they're quite delicate, a lot of them, and so many of them broke. And so I had to dispense with doing that quite so much, my dear. You know that I get exercise and a little bit melodramatic, so you don't see them quite as often. But still looking after this one. And I mention it because the Queen was installed as an honorary liveryman of the Worshipful Company of Fan Makers at a ceremony at Clarence House. And subsequently she attended a reception, and Her Majesty put on their robes of scarlet and gold in a ceremony that's rarely seen outside the City of London. And just as a side note, because outsiders find it interesting, they don't realise that the City of London is separate from London itself. It's a sort of city within a city, if you will. It's the tiny ancient part of London that includes what is known as the Square Mile or the City, the financial district and hub of London, and various other historical ancient parts of town. And the rest of London, you know, the wider, larger part of it, is really the conurbation. It was once known as the metropolis, actually. And as I say, these sort of ancient rituals and traditional ceremonies go on within the ancient walls when it comes to the Worshipful Company of Fan Makers. But because it's the Queen, an exception was made. And it was lovely to see Stuart Parvin pop up, wasn't it? Oh, he's such a gorgeous man, I think he is, that Stuart Parvin. And I've made a few broadcasts mentioning him and some sections on him. He was famous for dressing the late Queen, wasn't he? And working very closely with our agent High Heels, Angela Kelly. Nice to see him pop up and present Her Majesty with a fan. And she is a fan of fans, just like many of us, my dear. In fact, a fan belonging to her great-granny, Alice Keppel, who was the mistress of King Edward VII, was the star of the show, and it was on display during the event. And in fact, an expert from the London Fan Museum helped repair it with feathers taken from the jay bird. You might recall that Camilla is patron of London's Fan Museum. And one day I will get around to making it there for a visit. I'm rarely in that particular part of town, but I will do it because some of you have told me that you very much enjoy it and it's worth the entrance fee. Her Majesty wore the Queen Mother's rock crystal brooch, which features a diamond in the centre, and there is black enamel and translucent rock crystal carved with scroll designs, and it's actually rather chameleonic, that translucent crystal, meaning that the colour it takes on can shift and change depending on the fabric that is behind it. And the late Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, would often wear it, especially in earlier decades, as a hat ornament, which is something that you see me doing here and there, don't you, my dear, adorning my various headpieces with brooches and refashioning them. It's fun. But now I'm afraid we must turn to the Duchess of Sussex and the preposterousness of her new podcast deal. She's been sucking lemons, this gal. And she's been collaborating with Lemonada Media. Lemonada Media. I think she's indulging her Beyoncé fantasy, don't you, my dears? This is her lemonade era. Ha ha! Yes. I looked over the website. I rather like the fruity lemon tone of it. You know that I like my fruits, my dear, even sour fruits and the odd bitter lemon. Ooh, a nice little sharp tang in the mouth. And I rather like the design, although it does say their strapline is making life suck less. One podcast at a time. Well, if that's their mission statement, then I'm afraid they've definitely been given a lemon in the form of Rachel Ragland, haven't they, my dears? Because they will not be able to take a lemon and make lemonade out of it on this occasion. They will be only able to form a discarded wedge of pippy lemon, you know, that type that you find in a stale and putrid old glass of gin and bitter lemon that's been left over from a family celebration for several weeks. That is the kind of lemon that you're going to discover there, my dear. This company, this Lemonada, comes over as very female heavy. A few gays thrown in for good measure, of course, in the audio engineering behind the scenes. And there are lots of trans podcasts, this sort of thing, all very fashionable, I'm sure. But I also looked up some interviews with one of the co-founders. Seems lovely, seems really nice. So I have absolutely nothing against them other than their taste. We'll come to that in a moment. But they seem to be doing very well. It's a new enterprise. I think it only sprung up in 2019. Doing well, doing well. Not one of the big boys, though. Not one of the big players. But not everybody has to be a big boy. Although I know some of you ladies might like them. Anyway, it was accompanied by a new portrait. I've got big things in my mind now. Not Big Willie. Stop it! Will you stop now? Honestly, you really do take things down to the sewer sometimes. Well, I'm trying to be classy and trying to channel the royal spirit. It's you. It's you fruity tarts. Actually, that's what I'm going for today, my dear. I'm in my jammy tart necklace, aren't I? So I'm going for Queen of Tarts in the Valentino style. Yeah, baby. I digress. Yes, we got the pleasure of a new portrait by her favourite photographer, of course, that one that's always snapping away. I actually love the photograph. I think the grey tones and the pink tones are lovely. I love grey and pink together. Gorgeous, with a slightly Vaseline smeared lens at the side. So I like it, however contrived. Lemonada is also going to... Now, this is what I couldn't understand. Lemonada is also going to distribute archetypes to all platforms. Is that because no one else wants it, lovey, and they can't give it away for free? Or because Spotify washed their hands of it? Those grifters, as they called them. And Meghan is quoted as saying, "I'm proud to be able to share that I'm joining the brilliant team at Lemonada to continue my love of podcasting. Being able to support a female-founded company with a roster of thought-provoking and highly entertaining podcasts is a fantastic way to kick off 2024. Do you notice, by the way, how she is supporting them? That's the first thing she tells us. Being able to support a female-founded company. How arrogant, how vainglorious. Why is it not that they are supporting her? Why does she immediately take the upper hand? I'm storming into these young podcast production people, these folk who have been very successful in a few short years in propelling it to some sort of known status with successful shows and a large roster. She is the one that can, I was going to say todger on in there, it's supposed to be her husband's remit, but maybe she's the one with the balls, and a todge that counts. So she, on this occasion, todges along into that, and she's going to support them, and is what I say. Our plan to re-release Archetypes so that more people can have access to it, as well as launching a dynamic new podcast, are well in the works. I'm so eager to be able to share it soon, and I'm overjoyed to be joining the Lemonada family. Oh, wonderful. Make a big meal as usual about it being a female-founded company. Is it really so rare these days? Actually, don't tell me. Perhaps I'm wrong. Perhaps it is still some scarce rarity, and perhaps the last 50, 60 years didn't happen. But apparently it's worth mentioning. And then, word salad warning. I'm just going to give you all a big warning that then we have a bunch of word salad to munch from the co-founders of Lemonada, who say, "We are beyond honoured." It's another thing that I don't especially like. Why does everybody have to be beyond this and beyond that when honoured sums it up? Honoured is the word. You don't have to be beyond honoured, you know. But they are beyond honoured that Meghan has trusted us to help democratise access to archetypes. Help democratise access to archetypes so that more people have access to the series soon. Well, I had free access to that series, to all 12 episodes that I reviewed. I had free access. I didn't pay a single coin to Spotify. I don't know how it was where you are in the world and where you are. It wasn't some free deal or anything. It was free. It was totally free. I wish they'd paid me to view it, but I had to listen to it rather to report back to you. But Meghan's proud of telling us all in her new office that it broke so many records for the first show, but that was for the first show. Everyone tuned in to have a good giggle and a good laugh, and it made the headlines the world over because it was so absolutely crap. And after that, it ameliorated. And it totally fizzled out to the point where there were just 3 people left listening to it. Harry, Meghan and Doria. And it might have been stuffed into poor Prince Archie and Princess Elizabeth's ears as well, the poor things. So who knows why they're making such a meal of this? I mean, drop the dead donkey, guys. Drop the dead donkey. Who the hell is going to be tuning in to want to listen to that for a second time? When it was shoved down everyone's throats, or attempted to be, the last time it was aired. Something dodgy and dicey going on there. But then the co-founders go on to take the absolute biscuit. The absolute biscuit. Meghan's talent as host, creator and conversationalist is shit. Oh, whoops, a daisy. No, that was me. Is unparalleled. Yes, you are reading this, my dear. These people seem to be quilling this in all sincerity. It's unparalleled. No matter who you've ever seen throughout the decades, her talent as a host is unparalleled. And as a creator, talk about over-egging the pudding, my dears. I mean, seriously, how can they keep a straight face writing all of this? And we are thrilled to co-create a new series with her that fosters her approach to creating art that matters. How pretentious and how ego-stroking. It's a crappy old podcast. It'll be as crappy as the last one. And you're telling us that it's some superb work of art that Leonardo da Vinci would be cowering from in shame, I ask you. As we've started development with the Duchess of Sussex, we are blown away by her collaborative spirit and clear vision, Miss Bossy Boots, along with her deep desire to build compassion and community through this work. Well, let's see how you feel in another year's time, my dear, when the stardust has worn off and when you've got a few headlines. out of it. Let's see how you feel then, my dear. If you'll feel like the executives at Spotify that called them grifters, if you'll feel like the survivors, the Sussex survivors at the palace. All kinds behind the scenes. The Lemonada team felt immediate kinship with Meghan, and the Archewell Productions team, oh, you can just see her bringing in a tray of cookies, can't you? We're a family, we're a new family. And we are delighted to be working together. Yeah, yada, 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 Yallsville. Remember, it was the Wall Street Journal that said that the rumoured $20 million deal with Spotify did not actually meet, as they put it, productivity benchmarks. The productivity benchmarks that were required to get that full payout. Oh, by the way, for you avid YouTubers that like to look back on archive material of anything, but in this circumstance regarding the royal family, one popped up, a channel called ITN Archive. I think that's the Independent Television News from the UK archive. Popped up a couple of days ago, this video. It's called Are You OK, Ma'am? From 2002. So you just have to search that if you want to watch. It's rather grainy, it's rather mundane. It's not the most thrilling video in the world. I love that kind of thing though. Because it shows a lot of B-roll of Her Late Majesty weaving in and out of her subjects, trying to make conversation. I always find it a little bit awkward here and there with Her Late Majesty. But she was very easy with a lot of these people. And they show quite plainly how at ease she was with folks of all colour, from the whitest white to the blackest black, my dear. It made not a jot of difference. We all know that. We've always known that. But in light of allegations in the last few years, the likes of me are left defending Her Late Majesty over and over again, and the institution itself, and it's just another evidence offered of how easy she was with everyone, how natural, and in particular with one exchange that the likes of Ngozi Fulani, our dear Marlene, would have made a great big fuss over. Queen Elizabeth meets one gentleman and she says, and you're from Jamaica, are you? Because, you know, he speaks with a Jamaican accent and he looks Jamaican. Yes, he does, before anyone says, no, he doesn't, he looks British. Well, he looks British, Jamaican or Jamaican. Let's not tie ourselves in not pretending that if you had to plump and take a guess that you might not come out with something similar, or would you say, oh, you're from Japan, are you, my dear? She said, you're from Jamaica, are you? Because she heard his voice, his tongue. And he corrected her politely. He said, my parents are. He was British born. And she went on to say, oh, your parents. But you lived here all your life. And that was it, matter done. He corrected her. There was no animosity. He wasn't, to my knowledge, I can't speak on his behalf, but he didn't appear in any way affronted or assuming that it's a bias, an unconscious bias. Perhaps it's a bias born out of experience that didn't offend people. It's a very cynical world now. This is the thing about it. Yes, anybody can find disparagements if they look for it. Anyone can be a victim if they want to be a victim and if they think they might be able to profit from it. But it's very cynical, isn't it? It's a very cynical approach to life, and it's not life enhancing. And we're in danger of becoming a society that seeks these microaggressions out. In fact, what am I talking about? We're already there. But, I pity the young 5 or 6 coming up that are only exposed to this attitude to life and don't realise how keen a departure it is from actual civility and sophisticated minds, and are being indoctrinated into thinking that this new philosophy is worth its salt. So I thought that was worth mentioning it, and I enjoy looking over that rather mundane material, and I'm sure there are some other gems to be found on that ITN archive channel. And Queen Camilla does not stop. No, she was back at it again today at the artist collective known as Kindred Spirits in their studios as part of a pop-up hub supporting young people through artistry and creativity. And actually, the Queen discovered this collective through her daughter, Laura, who told the Queen about this talent hothouse, and Camilla was seen marvelling at the installations, including taxidermy mice. I think they were trussed up as the Beatles. She seemed to recognise a Ringo figure. There was intricate embroidered textiles and a painting of Princess Charlotte. And I did notice at that point, actually, a photographer said to Her Majesty, said, "Would you just look at the picture for me, please, ma'am?" And she did turn around and she did do as he bid, and I know he meant no harm. She has a wonderful relationship with them, but I'm not especially fond of photographers asking royalty how to pose, although I'm sure it provided a nice photograph, but I'm not sure they would have done that with Her late Majesty. But times have changed. I've got to get with the programme, I suppose, but she took a tour of the studios nevertheless, and she enjoyed a lovely looking cup of tea. Ooh, slurp, slurp, looks delish. And ooh, is that Lady Gaga there? I'm not quite sure. And just as she was leaving, a very cheeky lady slipped her business card, saying, "If you want to take some lessons, I'm here to teach you." Very cheeky, not very royal, but I rather approve of the gumption. Who can dismiss entrepreneurial spirit, my dear? Certainly not me, unless those entrepreneurs are the likes of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, because I'm afraid criticism has still been pouring in over the matter of Sussex.com and that debacle, and a testimonial has appeared on the website of the Canadian digital agency that oversee all of Meghan and Harry's digital goings on. Over many of their endeavours, over many years, they've been closely linked to Meghan. They worked on the TIG and they worked on the Archewell website, and some of Harry's, they're called Article. And we all know that Meghan's certainly an article, as old ladies here in the kingdom would call certain types. I'm thinking of Nan, the Catherine Tate character. What a fucking liberty. What a fucking liberty. What an article. Well, Article, digital agency, have been lauded by Meghan. She left a message this week saying, "There is a reason I've worked with Ryan and the talented team at Article for a decade. Their attention to detail, their creativity and care, their thoughtful approach to design, as well as to the user experience. They're not just designers. They're collaborators who elevate your ideas into visual identities. They're a very special company. Plus, they're Canadian, so I'm a fan." This charm offensive towards Canada. Are they considering some second home in Canada? It's all about Canada. Is it because America is not a Commonwealth country? They might think it behooves them to be there, but is it that they want to straddle the border and get a foot back into Canada and try and get snuggly wuggly with Canadians for Valentine's week? Because it's a Commonwealth country, and they might be regretting the fact that they are no longer ambassadors for a Commonwealth country. Is that their ploy? Is that their long-term plan? That they want to? It's dramatic to think about, but maybe that is the kind of idea they want to bandy about. Well, they better be quick. Because even if Pa was willing to take them back in some format, you better bet your life that Big Willie ain't going to be dealing with any of that nonsense. But yeah, it just makes the mind boggle, doesn't it, over why Canada. Well, they're a very special company, plus they're Canadian, so she's a fan. Of course, I understand with the association with suits. Investitures. There's been so many investiture ceremonies over the last week based around Windsor. We've already seen some with Anne and with William, and Anne was back at it again this week with investitures, including one for Professor Jason Killens, who was awarded the King's Ambulance Medal. And as you can see here from all the various pictures, we had all kinds rolling up and rolling in and being duly awarded for their wonderful, magnificent efforts. And they look like delicious fruits, don't they, my dear? I will leave you to enjoy your Valentine's evening, or to cry into a pillow doing a Bridget Jones and singing all by myself. Whatever it is, my dear, relish it and enjoy it. Enjoy yourself if you are going to bed with a hunky man, but if you are not, then you can enjoy waking up in the morning without some big, stinking, smelly, hungover, snoring old git next to you, can't you, my dear, and luxuriate in a bed of your own making. Thank you if you've sent me a Valentine's tip jar treat. Extra special kiss for you. And a big kiss for everybody. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Mwah. Sending you all the love, my dears. Thank you for your fruity presents. I will see you next time. Take care, enjoy yourself, and lots of love. Ta-ra and toodle pip.